Everyone, how are you? Hope you're fine. If you remember, last session we started Unit 1 in Intermediate 3, and we talked about neighbors. We discussed about different neighbors and how we communicate with neighbors. We learned some expressions about having communication, such as get on well with neighbor. I don't know, keeping myself to myself, get on my nerves, and when a neighbor is let's say curious to understand what goes on in our home, we call him or her nosy, and so on. Also, we had a text about loving our neighbor. That was a very nice and impressive story. Then we talked about articles and quantifiers. Then we moved on and learned about compound nouns. Uh, and we learned that they are separated by a hyphen or a space, and sometimes they are written as one word. We learned that the first word carries the stress in most of the cases, and we practiced compound nouns a lot in vocabulary bank. Now, on page 5, we are going to start unit 1.2, my place in cyberspace. My place in cyberspace. Cyberspace is the internet, which has no limit, and you can do variety of activities there. All right. So, vocabulary, the internet. Work in pairs, working groups. Look at the picture. Which type of website would you use to? So, in the picture, we have variety of uh, websites. Uh, we have personal homepage, search engine, corporate website, blog, social networking site, rating site, photo sharing website, travel site, matchmaking site, wiki, and news site. All right. So, one, which type of website would you use to, one, find out what is happening in the world? In order to find out what is happening in the world, we need to read the news, and we can visit news sites to find it out. Okay. Very famous news websites can be, for example, BBC News, uh, Reddit, World News, BuzzFeed, and Global Issues. These are famous news websites. Number two, which type of websites would you use to book a vacation? Uh, that's clearly travel sites such as booking.com, trip.com, or travel advisor, and kiwi.com for cheap flights. Number three, contact friends. You can contact friends using social networking sites. Social networking sites like Telegram, WhatsApp, Viber, and so on. 4. Which one would you use to show your vacation pictures? Photo sharing websites, of course. Photo sharing websites is used to share photos, uh, such as Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Image Shack. Not only you can, not only can you find uh, nice photos about anything, every topic, but also you can share your photos. Next one, which type of website would you use to 5. Meet the partner of your dreams. So that's matchmaking sites. But since I haven't visited any of these kind of websites, I don't know any. Sorry. Number 6. Which one do you use to show your wedding videos? So we can use video sharing websites like YouTube, or we can also share them in Facebook, Instagram. Number 8. Which one do you use to find out about a big company? We can visit corporate websites. They are websites about big and small businesses. Number 9. Which one do you use to share facts about yourself? To share facts about yourself, so you have your own personal homepage. You can share anything about yourself you want. Number 10. Which one do you use, or would you use, to read and write opinions about anything and everything? We can use blogs. Nowadays, very few people get to write blogs, but in the past, there were a lot of people who used to have blogs, and they would share many things about everything and anything. Number 11. Which one do you, or would you use to read or write factual information about a topic? We can use wiki. The most famous one is Wikipedia or Research Wiki. You can visit. And the last one, which one would you use to find information quickly? We use search engines. Search engines like Google, Yahoo, Bing. And you have to bear in mind that things like Firefox, Internet Explorer, I don't know, Google Chrome, these are not search engines, these are browsers. So, okay, part 1B, discuss which of these do you use regularly, which do you use occasionally, which do you never use. So, the one that I use pretty regularly is search engines and browsers. Uh, you know, whatever you want to do, you have to, you know, type in Google or other search engines in order to find. And I use social networking sites regularly uh, to contact friends and to see what they've posted. Um, the ones that I occasionally use might be rating sites when I read a book or when I watch a movie. I would like to see its ranking and reviews about the book and the movie I watch. The one that I never use is blog, unless I want to find some articles and the article is written in the blog in a specific blog. Otherwise, I never use blogs. Um, yep. And I never use matchmaking sites. That's important. Okay, let's go to listening section. Listening. Listen to four people talking about their online communities and answer the questions. Let's listen. It is 1.2.
1.2. Listen to four people talking about their online communities and answer the questions. In real life, my husband and I are both artists, visual artists. We paint landscapes and portraits. Well, we've been using the website for about 2 years now. And about a year ago, we started an artist colony on the internet, and it's been great. There are people like us who work in the arts, but also other people. And we show our paintings, and it's brought some business for us. It's a very creative kind of community, and we love it. We really do.
There is definitely a community of bloggers. It's a very 21st century community, which means no one knows one another personally. Bloggers might tell you their thoughts, but you don't know them as people. The guy who wrote this, who says he's a 50-year-old American university professor, might be a 16-year-old girl from Mumbai. We just don't know. But the best blogs have a following who are very loyal readers. These are people who log on every day and they get really engaged in the content. Well, that to me is a community.
There's only one store which sells all sorts of things like food, newspapers, and everything really. There's a small school, a bar, and not much else. Actually, our social life is based on the bar where we have our town meetings. Anyway, when we need to buy other things, we shop online. It's cheap and it saves us an hour's drive in the car. And yeah, I've bought all sorts of things there: furniture, clothes, stuff you just can't get where we live.
The website which I use the most is a social networking site. It's like Facebook or MySpace. I put up pictures of me and my family and I write messages. But to be honest, I use it mostly to keep in touch with friends. And the thing that I like is you go onto your friend's homepage to see what they've been doing. And you can see pictures of all their friends. And then you see pictures of your friends' friends, and it grows and grows, so you meet new people. I think it's great. I check it out at least once every day.
Okay. Let's go through the questions 1 to 8. 1. What did speaker 1, Lynn, do a year ago? She and her husband started an artist colony on the net because both of them were artists, visual artists, and they wanted to show their works to the public, and it became a kind of business with them too. Number 2, what does she say about the community? It's very creative, and they loved it. 3, what does speaker 2, Rick, say it's a 21st century community? uh, because it's a community of bloggers and no one knows one another personally. And the example was, you know, you may see someone who introduces himself as a, for example, 50-year-old American professor would be a 16-year-old girl from Mumbai, for example. Uh, Number 4, what does he say about the best blogs? The best blogs have a following, people who follow and they are loyal. They visit the blogs every day. Number 5, what type of place does speaker 3 Nathan live in? He lives in a very small town. Number 6, what does he like about using the internet? Uh, According to him, it's so cheap and quick. It's cheaper and quicker than real life communities. Number 7, what 2 things does speaker 4 Abby do on her favorite website? She puts up pics of her and her family, and she writes messages. And number 8, how often does she use it? She uses it once a day. Good. So, part 2B, work in pairs. Listen to each speaker again. When the speaker finishes, take it in turns to use the words in the box to explain what the speakers say. All right. In order to save the time, I'll explain what they said without playing the recording again. If you want to listen again, you can play it again or rewind the video and listen to the recording. So the first one, Lynn, talked about her husband and she that started, that are visual artists. They paint landscapes and portraits. They have been using the internet since for about 2 years. And last year they started an artist colony. It is great because they can show their paintings there, and it's brought some business for them. It's very creative kind of community, and they love it. Second one, Rick talked about a community of bloggers. He described it as 21st century community because no one knows one another personally. Uh, you know, the guy who writes, for example, the blog, who says he's a 50-year-old American university professor, might be a 16-year-old girl from Mumbai. So it's not reliable. We just don't know. The best blogs have a following who are very loyal readers. They are people who log on every day, and they get really engaged in the contents, and they comment on it. Maybe third one, Nathan. He lives in a very small town where there is only one store, and it sells all sorts of things. There is a small school and not much else. Actually, their social life is based on the bar, where people have their town meetings. Uh, when they need to buy something else, they shop online because it's cheap and it saves their time. They have to drive in the car, so without doing so, they can order and they receive what they want. And he mentioned that he has brought um, all sorts of things like furniture, clothes, and that. Yeah. Next one, Abby mentioned that she is in love with social networking sites, such as Facebook or MySpace. Uh, she puts up pictures of herself or her family, and she writes messages. She uses it to keep in touch with her friends, and she visits her friends' homepages to see what they've been doing. And she sees the pictures of all their friends and the pictures of friends' friends, and this grows and grows. You meet new people, and for her, that's so great. She checks it at least once every day. That's it. All right. Part 3, discuss the questions. Do you think websites are real communities? 2, what are the benefits of online communities? 3, are there any changes? Are there any dangers? Sorry, are there any dangers or problems in spending a lot of time in online communities? Okay, so you can think about the questions and come up with your uh, discussions. Uh, so if I want to talk about my opinion about online communities, I would say they are communities. Uh, in my opinion, when people gather in a space, so let's take it, it's cyberspace, it's virtual space, but uh, people are talking to each other. They are not robots. Uh, you can see what people think, what people say. You come across new people with new tastes, with new beliefs and ideologies. This make me believe that websites are uh, communities, but virtual kind of communities, if not real. Uh, community is a place in which people with mutual benefits and with some similarities. Now, the similarity can be, language or age. I don't know, country, whatever. People with these mutual benefits gather and talk. So they are communities. They have a lot of benefits. You can visit your friends. You can expand your friendship. The circle of friends can be expanded because you visit new people. Uh, you get to know your friends' friends, and the more people you know, the more ideas you deal with, and it uh, develops your mind. and it's so good. You can know what goes on in the world. Uh, the, there are places you cannot travel to for any reason, but now with these communities, with online communities, you can know, you can find out the relationship among people. You can find out about their problems, about their lifestyles. There are a lot of benefits, but also there are some problems and dangers. You may uh, visit someone who claims to be a specific guy who really he doesn't, or she isn't, or he isn't, uh, really that guy. And if you rely on him, trust him or her, you may lose uh, something in your life. It depends on the kind of trust you have, or the kind of connection and communication you have with those guys. Other problems might be the waste of time. If you spend hours uh, uh, every day in the internet and those communities, so you won't be able to catch up on your real life activities and responsibilities. And this is another problem. It may bring about addiction. You may find yourself in the middle of this problem that you cannot put it down. You cannot put your cell phone down. You cannot leave your computer because you feel obsessed with it. You feel that if you leave it, something will goes on there, and you won't be aware of that. So these are the dangers, and of course there are some others. So people who use the internet and different websites uh, should have it under their control. It's good like any other things in our life, but if you use it logically. All right, that was my opinion about it. I hope you will discuss your own opinion too. As I always say, you don't need to have any partner to talk to. You can talk to yourself. You can write about it. You can record your own discussion and listen to it, and so on. All right, let's go to the grammar part. Relative pronouns or relative clauses. Of course, they are different. We are going to talk about it more. At this moment, let's read about the origins of a website. Why did the website become successful? The rise of YouTube. I'm sure you are familiar with the concept of YouTube. I'm sure you use it regularly. Why there is two rise? I don't know. Maybe that's a mistake, but I can interpret it like this. The first rise means the emergence, when it came into existence. And the second rise can mean development and improvement. The rise of YouTube, the emergence and development of YouTube. We can interpret it like this. Let me zoom in a bit. So, early in 2005, three friends, Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Jawed Karim, it is simply Javid Karim. He was not Iranian, or he's not Iranian, he's German, actually, who were also colleagues, co-workers were having problems trying to email a video clip. Within 2 hours, they came up with an idea which would solve the problem and change internet history. Just in 2 hours, they produced a video sharing platform. Isn't that awesome? In 2 hours. They decided to create a video sharing platform, and YouTube was born. It's a familiar story for anyone who follows the development of the internet. Technology-minded entrepreneurs under 30, a garage or bedroom where dreams become reality, little money, and a big communicative need. It says that what they did, what those three friends did, is similar to what other entrepreneurs who have technological mind do. Those entrepreneurs who are pretty young, they are under 30. They work in a garage or in their bedroom, and in those tiny places, their dreams come true. They have little money, but they need to communicate in a large scale. The site was an instant success. The site quickly succeeded. The key was a number of features. The secret of the success was a number of features. 1. Links to the videos, which made them easy to email. 2. Tell a friend functions, a feature that allowed YouTube videos to be played on other social networking sites. We call it going viral. And 3, another feature that let users comment on the video. So these 3 features brought the website to success. This helped to develop the site's sense of community. YouTube was a place where you posted videos, but also chatted about them, complained, smiled, or laughed out loud. So you can react to the videos by complaining about them, by chatting about them, smiling, or laughing at them. 2 years after the launch, 2 years after the start of YouTube, Google Incorporation bought YouTube for $1.65 billion. Yeah. Within 2 hours, they thought for 2 hours, and for the rest of their lives, they don't need even to work and think. Yeah. So, good. You have studied about relative clauses before, some terms ago. Relative clauses are the parts of sentences which give descriptions about nouns before them. Okay. In this text, we have some of them. For example, here, early in 2005, 3 friends, Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Jawed Karim, who were also colleagues. Who refers to those 3 people? Who were also colleagues is the relative clause. Who is the relative pronoun. Who were also colleagues is the relative clause. It's interesting to say that relative can be replaced with another term like adjective. So relative clause is something like adjective clause. Why? Because just like an adjective that describes a noun, adjective clause describes a noun too. Another one is, for example, here. Within 2 hours, they came up with an idea which would solve the problem and change internet history. Which is the relative pronoun, and the parts after which is the relative clause. I mean, which would solve the problem and change internet history is the relative clause or adjective clause for the word idea. All right. Another one, for example, can be here. It's a familiar story for anyone who follows the development of the internet. Anyone is a noun which is described by who follows the development of the internet. We will come back to this text again. Let's talk about relative clauses a bit more. Relative clauses. So, defining relative clauses. You know, we have got two types of relative clauses, defining and non-defining. Defining relative clauses are the necessary information to describe a noun. Without defining relative clauses, the sentence is not complete in meaning. Okay. Let's have some examples here. Children who hate chocolate are uncommon. Who is the relative pronoun, and who hates chocolate is the relative clause, defining relative clause. So if you remove this part, what remains is children are uncommon. So which children are uncommon? What does the sentence mean? As you see, we need a defining relative clause in order to complete the meaning of the sentence. So, children who hate chocolate are uncommon. An elephant is an animal that lives in hot countries. So, an elephant is an animal. Okay, so what? We know it's an animal that lives in hot countries. Gives description about animal. Animal is the noun which is described by that lives in hot countries. Next one. Let's go to a country where the sun always shines. Let's go to a country where the sun always shines. This relative clause gives description about country. Which country? A country where the sun always shines. The reason why I came here today is not important. The reason why, or for which, you can say the reason for which the reason for which I came here today is not important. Why is one of those relative pronouns. So what relative pronouns we have had so far? Who, that, where, why. Another one. Are you the one who sent me the email? Are you the one who sent me the email? Who describes one. This who describes one. Next one, the phone which has the most features is also the most expensive. The phone which has the most features, which describes the phone. Which phone? The phone which has the most features is also the most expensive. This is the video that I wanted to show you. The person who they spoke to was really helpful. Summer is the season when I'm happiest. The summer when I graduated from university was long and hot. When is used to talk about the time, to give description about time. Where is used to give description about place. Who is used to talk about people. Which is used to talk about things. And why is used to talk about reasons. What is that used for? That is used instead of which and who. Which and who. In defining relative clauses, it is so important to remember that in defining relative clauses only, that can be used instead of who and which. That's the stadium where Real Madrid play. I live in the city where I study. He is a musician whose album have sold millions. Here we have a new one. Whose. Whose is used to talk about possession or belonging. He's a musician whose albums have sold millions. Album belongs to the musician. So whose album have sold millions talk about or gives description about a belonging of the noun before them. Okay, so we cannot use who here because he is a musician whose album is meaningless. Whose album? The dog whose owner lives next door is over there. The dog whose owner. The owner of the dog lives next door. Okay, not the dog itself. The dog whose owner lives next door is over there. The little girl whose doll was lost is sad. The little girl is sad. Why? Because her doll was lost. Her doll. We use possessive adjectives. Here, whose is a let's say relative pronoun which describes possession, belonging. The woman whose car is a BMW is coming tonight. The woman is coming. Which woman? The woman who has a BMW. The car belongs to the woman. The house whose roof is old belongs to me. This roof belongs to the house, and the house belongs to me. Okay? So, these are the examples. We are going to have more examples later on. So, what we learned so far is that defining relative clauses are a necessary part of the sentence. We cannot remove them. We have a variety of relative pronouns like who, which, where, when, why, whose, and that. That is used instead of which and who in defining relative clauses. Generally speaking, relative clauses give description about a noun before that. Okay, and okay, Here we have more examples about which and that. The dish that I ordered was delicious. Instead of that, we can use which. The dish which I ordered was delicious. This is our relative clause. We can all use that or which. The man that came with her has already left. The man that or who. The man that or who came with her has already left. Relative clause is that came with her. Next one. The doctor that I was hoping to see wasn't on duty. The doctor that I was hoping to see wasn't on duty. Here again, we have that instead of whom. Here, whom is the same as who. Whom is used in object relative clauses, as an object relative pronoun. In New English, of course, nowadays, we don't use whom. Whom is an old-fashioned relative pronoun. Instead of it, we can use who or that. The doctor that I was hoping to see wasn't on duty. She loves the chocolate, which or that I bought. What is the relative clause? This is the relative clause. She loves the chocolate, which or that I bought. We went to the village, which or that Lucy recommended. Okay. Which or that Lucy recommended. You can say, or you may ask that village is a place. Why did we use which? We had to use where. But I have to tell you that, just because the noun is a place is not enough to use where. We use where when something is done inside the place. When we are talking about an activity which is done inside the place, we can use where. Otherwise, when we talk about the place as a whole, or we are talking about the place itself, we use which instead. We can give you example like chitsazan language school where, of course, this is a non-defining. Let me give you another example. Our house where I was born our house where I was born is going to be destroyed. Okay, our relative clause is where I was born. Being born is an activity that was done inside the house. Okay, so where is used. But if I say our house which was made of, for example, redstone, Our house, which was made of redstone. The house itself was made of redstone. This activity was not done inside the place. All right. So that's why which must be used instead of where. So to review this part, our house, where I was born. Being born is an activity which was done inside the house. So we use where. Or you can also use in which. Our house, where or in which I was born, is going to be destroyed. Our house, which was made of redstones, is going to be destroyed. Okay, the second example about our house does not refer to the activity which was done inside. The place itself was made of redstones, so we use which. Sometimes we can reduce the relative clause. When we reduce it, it is not a relative clause anymore. It changes to a relative phrase or adjective phrase. Let's see how it happens. Look at the example here. A girl who works at a pub has won a lottery. A girl who works at a pub has won a lottery. The relative clause is who works at a pub. Okay, this is our relative clause. A girl who, and I have to mention that what is going to be explained here now is about defining relative clauses. We can reduce defining relative clauses into an adjective phrase, not non-defining. So a girl who works at a pub has won a lottery. We can remove who and put ing after the verb. A girl working at a pub has won a lottery. A girl who works, a girl working. Both of them are the same. Remember, when you remove who, you have to change work to, let's say, gerund. A girl working at a pub has won a lottery. Next one, a lady who lives next door throws numerous parties. A lady who lives next door. Who lives next door is our relative clause. If we want to reduce it, we have to say the lady living next door throws numerous parties. Who lives? Living. Yesterday I read a book which was written by Hemingway. Which was written by Hemingway. Our relative clause is this. Which was written by Hemingway. In our relative clause, we have a passive form. When we want to reduce this kind of relative clause, nothing. We do the same thing. We remove relative pronoun and auxiliary verb. When in relative clause there is an auxiliary like a to be verb, we remove them too. Yesterday I read a book written by Hemingway, which and was removed. What is remain? Written by Hemingway, which is our adjective phrase. Another one, most people who were invited to the party didn't turn up. Most people who were invited to the party is our relative clause, reduced form, You have to bear in mind that when it is passive, we cannot add ing. Most people who were invited, like previous example, who were invited, it is passive. When it is passive, we cannot add ing. We have to put the pp form of the verb in adjective phrase. Most people invited to the party didn't turn up. Most people who were invited, who and were cancelled, were removed, and the remaining is invited to the party, which is adjective phrase. Anyone who enters the garden without permission will be punished. Anyone who enters the garden without permission is our relative clause. Will be punished. If we want to reduce the relative clause, it will be anyone entering. See, who enters is an active sentence, an active clause. So when we want to reduce, we add ing to the main verb. Anyone entering the garden without permission will be punished. Sometimes in a relative clause, we have continuous form. For example, the girl who is sitting by the window is a very famous writer. Who is sitting by the window is our relative clause. The girl who is sitting by the window is a very famous writer. Now we want to reduce it. The girl. So what should we do? We remove who and is. What remains? Sitting. It has ing. The girl sitting by the window is a very famous writer. Our adjective phrase is sitting by the window. Okay. This is all about defining relative clauses. Now let's see what non-defining relative clauses are. Non-defining relative clauses, as it is mentioned in the title itself, it is non-defining. It doesn't define what? It doesn't define the noun. Defining relative clause defines the noun. We need the definition, but non-defining doesn't define, so we don't need it. It's extra. Non-defining relative clauses give us extra information about the noun, so we can easily remove them. So if they are extra and we don't need them, then why do we use them? We use them in order to give more information. That piece of information is not needed, but it's good to have them, to give more information. Look at the examples here. Non-defining relative clauses. John's mother, who lives in Scotland, has 6 grandchildren. John's mother, who lives in Scotland. Who lives in Scotland is non-defining. Why is it non-defining? We said because it is extra. What does it mean? If you remove it from sentence, nothing will happen to the sentence meaning. The sentence meaning is complete. Now let's read it without relative clause. John's mother has 6 grandchildren. Why is it non-defining? Because John is clear. When we have a proper name of people, of places, of some times, such as mounts. Uh, what information we give is unnecessary. John's mother, the mother of John. John's mother, who lives in Scotland, has 6 grandchildren. What is important here is that before and after relative clause, non-defining relative clauses, we need to put comma. Okay, we need to put comma. Okay, if the relative clause, I mean non-defining relative clause, is located at the end of the sentence, the comma after the clause is not needed because we have full stop. Next one, my friend John, who went to the same school as me, has just written a best-selling novel. So my friend John has just written a best-selling novel. Okay, so it is non-defining. Another one, we stopped at Louvre Museum, which we had never visited before. So Louvre Museum is clear. No need for any definition or description. Which we had never visited before is extra. Next one. I've just come back from London, where John lives. London is clear. Where John lives. Because it is a place and the living is an activity which is done inside London, where is used, not which. I've just come back from London where John lives. You see there is a comma before where, and since it is at the end of the sentence, it ends with a full stop. Yesterday I met a woman named Susan whose husband works in New York. Yesterday I met a woman named Susan. So Susan is a proper name. We don't need a relative clause, a defining relative clause. So the relative clause is a non-defining one. Whose husband, again here we have a possession. Husband belongs to Susan. Next one, my next door neighbor whose children go to school with ours has just bought a new car. My next door neighbor, which neighbor? My next door neighbor. So we already have a description of neighbor. No need for more. My next door neighbor has just bought a new car. No need for more explanation. So whose children go to school with ours is non-defining relative clause. Another one. After the port, there is a row of fishermen's houses whose lights can be seen from across the bay. After the port, there is a row of fishermen's houses whose lights. Fishermen's houses. If it was just houses, we would need a defining relative clause. But here we know what kind of houses? Fishermen's houses, whose lights can be seen from across the bay. So, City Park, which we used to go to, has been closed down. So there is an activity which is done inside the city park. Why we use which? It is because we have used to with it. Which to? City Park, which we used to go to, has been closed down. City Park, where we used to go without to, has been closed down. Sometimes we need to use in which. Sometimes we need to use to which or which to. These two sentences are the same. City Park, which we used to go to, has been closed down. City Park, where we used to go, has been closed down. Next one, December, which Christmas is celebrated in. Christmas, which December, which Christmas is celebrated in, is a summer month for the southern hemisphere. Which Christmas is celebrated in is the relative clause. December is a time, so we need when, or in which, or which in. Which Christmas is celebrated in. It is the same with this example. December, when Christmas is celebrated. When Christmas is celebrated is a summer month for the southern hemisphere. Okay, which in and when have the same meaning. All right. So if we want to review non-defining relative clauses, we have to say that they are extra pieces of information which we don't need to complete the meaning of the sentence. That's why we have to use comma before and after them. We can easily remove them from our sentence without changing the meaning of the sentence. Let's go to the book. Read the text in exercise 4 again and underline the relative clauses. We did some of them. What type are they defining or non-defining? Referring to the text again. So the first one here, who were also colleagues. As you see, there are commas, so they are non-defining. Here, which would solve the problem? It is a defining, because there is no comma, and an idea is not clear. What idea or which idea? An idea which would solve the problem. So it is defining. Anyone who follows the development of the internet. Anyone who. Because anyone is unknown, we need a defining relative clause. As you see, there is no comma. Where? Technology-minded entrepreneurs under 30, a garage or bedroom where dreams become reality. A garage or bedroom, they are clear places. We don't need more explanation about them. So non-defining relative clauses are used. Another one here, links to the videos which made them easy to email. This relative clause, which made them easy to email, doesn't refer to videos. It refers to the links to the videos. So when a relative clause refers to a sentence before it, that relative clause is always non-defining. I'm repeating. This relative clause, which made them easy to email, refers to the sentence before it, not just a word or noun. That's why it is non-defining. Here, a feature that allowed YouTube videos to be played. A feature. It is unknown, so we need defining relative clause. We have that. That is used instead of which here. And another feature that, again, it is the same thing. YouTube was a place where you posted videos. Where is a place. YouTube was a place, so yeah, I know it's a place. What? Where you posted videos. All right, it is all done in the text, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. Rules. Read rules 1 and 2, then complete rule 3 with which, who, where, and that. So, 1. Defining relative clauses tell us exactly which thing, person, or place we are talking about. Non-defining relative clauses add extra information to a sentence. They tell us what a thing, person, or place is or does. The sentence is still grammatically possible without the extra information. It is what we discussed. If you remove them from sentence, the sentence is correct, grammatically correct. So, what is used to talk about places? Where? What is used to talk about people? Who? What is used to talk about things? Which? What can be used to talk about places, people, or things in defining relative clauses? Only that can be used. But this that cannot be used instead of where. It can be used instead of which. Okay, language bank. Let's move to language bank. Uh, you can read it yourself. We explained everything which was here. Just one thing looks important here. Number 2, the kids whom, who, that, or nothing we met yesterday are my students. In defining relative clauses, when after relative pronoun we have a subject, we, this subject is after relative pronoun. The kids whom, who, or that we met yesterday. In this case, we can omit the relative pronoun. This nothing, the sign of nothing is here to show that we can omit the relative pronoun. The kids we met yesterday are my students. Okay, but in number 1, I like the people who or that live. There is no subject between that and live. But in number 2, there is a subject between met and that. In this case, I emphasize in defining relative clauses, we can omit the relative pronoun. So you can read and study. I think we talked about all of it. Let's go to the exercises. Complete the sentences with who, which, where, when, whose, and why. Number 1. I met a man whose house had burned down. I met a man whose house had burned down. Number 2. This was the moment when we knew we would win. Moment is a time, so we use when. 3. I spent several months in Rome, which is my favorite city. See, we use which because is my favorite city is not an activity which is done inside the place. We are talking about Rome itself. So which is used. Number 4, the village where Teresa grew up, poor but happy, was very small. The action of growing up happened inside the village, so where must be used. Number 5. The girl. The girl who sold you the carpet is from Morocco. The girl who sold you the carpet is from Morocco. Number 6. That blog where he writes every day is one of the most popular in the country, sorry. Where? For blog we use where. 7. Jill married a guy who she met on a matchmaking site. We can say who, we can say that, we can say whom, or nothing. Jim married a guy she met on a matchmaking site. Number 8. I don't want to be with someone whose whole life is spent surfing the net. Whose whole life? Number 9. I never understand the reason why or for which he left us suddenly. Number 10. The White House, where US President lives, is more than 200 years old. Let's go to second part. Number 2. Rewrite the sentences using relative clauses. Use the words in italics and words in the box. 1. What's this program? Did you want to watch it? Is this the program that you wanted to watch? Number 2. Last year I met a translator. She spoke 6 languages. Last year I met a translator who spoke 6 languages. Who spoke 6 languages. Number 3. It was 6 o'clock on the 5th of August. At that moment, the world changed forever. It was 6 o'clock on the 5th of August when the world changed forever. The 5th of August signifies the time, so we use when. Number 4. They gave Judy an apple. She ate it quickly. They gave Judy an apple, which she ate quickly. You should pay attention. Here we have the pronoun it. When you write the relative clause, they gave Judy an apple, which, so this which is the same as it. Both of them refer to an apple. Then we don't need it in the relative clause. Let me write this. Which she ate quickly. You see, after 8 we don't have it. Why? Because which is the same as it. Which is relative pronoun, it is pronoun. Both of them refer to an apple, so we don't need both of them. We need which only. They gave Judy an apple, which she ate quickly. Number 5, you see that apartment. You see that apartment. Philip lived there. That's the apartment where Philip lived. Again, here there is not repeated. That's the apartment where Philip lived. No need for there. She spent a month in Manchester. She loved it. She spent a month in Manchester where she loved without it. Sorry, which she loved. She spent a month in Manchester, which she loved. She loved Manchester. No, there is no activity that is done inside Manchester, so which is used rather than where. Number 7. The boss's office is next to mine. He is always shouting. The boss, the boss, uh, whose office is next to mine, is always shouting. The boss, whose office is next to mine, is always shouting. Number 8. My friend is coming to visit me. He lives in Barcelona. My friend who lives in Barcelona is coming to visit me. You know, in these kind of sentences that you have to put one of them, in your relative clause, you have to make decision which one should be in your relative clause, you know, uh, which one should be used in your relative clause. You make decision according to the importance of the sentence. Which one which one sounds more important? That is the main clause. In number 8, my friend is coming to visit me. He lives in Barcelona. Which one is important? The fact that he is coming to visit me is important. He lives in Barcelona sounds like background information. So that background information goes into the relative clause, which is non-defining. So my friend who lives in Barcelona is coming to visit me. But in number 7, the boss's office is next to mine. He's always shouting. We have the boss. The boss does something. The boss is always shouting. This is our main part, main clause. So the other one is the piece of information which we put in our relative clause. Okay, let's get back to the main part. Practice. Circle the correct alternatives to complete the text. For people who liked to send and receive very short messages, Twitter.com was a dream come true. This social networking site, which one is correct? This social networking site, which was the fastest growing site in 2009, became amazingly popular in a short space of time. So how does it work? You write your message, which must be no longer than 140 characters onto your profile via a web. So here, which must be is correct. Via a SMS or phone application. Then the message, which is called a tweet, is sent automatically to your subscribers or followers, which is called is correct. The people that use Twitter say it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Where is it? Okay. Jerry Jones, Who works for, who works where, which works. So who works for is correct. This one is correct. Jerry Jones, who works for an internet company, describes it as a mini revolution, a small revolution. He says that when Twitter arrived, it was the moment when online communication changed. No more boring blogs where people go and where people go on and on about nothing. Me and my friends who all use Twitter have a saying: keep your tweet short and sweet. Good. Let's go on to next part. 6b. Change the relative clauses to adjective phrases. Do you know the woman who is coming toward us? Do you know the woman coming toward us? Who and is are omitted. The remaining is the adjective phrase. Number 2. The people who are waiting for the bus in the rain are getting wet. The people who are waiting for the bus in the rain are getting wet. So, if we want to change it to adjective phrase, we have to omit who and are. The people who are waiting for the people waiting for the bus in the rain are getting wet. The people waiting for the bus in the rain are getting wet. Number 3. I come from a city that is located in the southern part of the country. I come from a city located in the southern part of the country. That and is are omitted. Located is left. It is PP form. If you remember, we learned that when it is passive, there is a passive verb in relative clause, in defining relative clause. When you want to change it to adjective phrase, you omit relative pronoun and to be verb, and PP form of the verb remains. Number 4. The students who attend that university receive a good education. The students attending that university receive a good education. Number 5. They newly bought an apartment that overlooks the park. They newly bought an apartment overlooking the park. Overlooking describes the apartment. Overlooking the park describes the apartment. Number 6. The fence which surrounds our house is made of wood. Now, we omit which and put ing after surround. The fence surrounding our house is made of wood. I hope you have understood well. Part 7. Listening. Listen for the pauses where there are commas. Check the sentence you hear. It's 1.3. I will tell the answer after the sentence is said.
1.3. Listen for the pauses where there are commas. Check the sentence you hear. 1,
The travel site which we developed is really popular.
B.
2,
Those children who spend too much time on the net don't communicate well.
A.
3.
Video sharing sites which are free are a great resource for students.
A.
4.
On that dating site where I met my wife, there are hundreds of single people.
B.
5.
Bloggers who write regularly often get their stories from news websites.
A. Good. So in number 1, which was B, there was comma. So the relative clause was non-defining. In 2A, there was no pause because the speaker used defining relative clause. In number 3A, it was defining. There was no pause. In number 4, it was B. There was a pause, so it was non-defining. And number 5, there was no pause, it was defining. Let's move to next page, speaking. All right, speaking. Part 8A, look at the activities in the box below. Do you prefer doing them online or in the real world? What are their advantages and disadvantages? So, shopping. For me, shopping, it is different when you go shopping for clothes. You have to do it in the real world, because you have to try it on to see if it fits you or not. Then it is more logical to go to the shop, go to the market. But buying books or, for example, some electronics, some I don't know, some devices that you don't need to check it out in the market. You can do it through online markets. Then it depends because it saves your time. You don't have to waste a lot of time to go to the city center and look for what you want, and sometimes you will check it and you won't like the price, and you will come back without doing anything useful. In order to save all of this, you can do it online. Meet new people. Actually, for me, it doesn't matter to meet new people online or in the real world. Even when we meet some new people in the real world, we will continue our communication through devices like cell phone and through SMS or some social networking sites and so on. Find out the news. I mean, if it refers to reading a newspaper in the real world, so it doesn't matter, you are not there to see what really happens. It doesn't matter if you read newspaper or you listen to the news on TV or radio. So they are also unreal world. It can be real if you personally are in the place where something is happening. So it doesn't matter reading them in newspaper or news sites. Book flights or hotels. I prefer to do them online. More time saving. Watch movies and programs. Watching movies and programs, I would like to watch them in the real world. It will consume my internet. No, it is not cost effective. Going to the movies or watching movies on TV is much better. Looking up information. So for looking up information, both. I prefer reading books, real books, printed books. If I don't have that printed book um, in which I can find what I'm looking for, then I will refer to the internet and look up the information online. Explore new places. Of course, there is a big difference between exploring new places in the real world. You go to the places in person. It is much more pleasant, much more fantastic, enjoyable, rather than visiting those places online. But if you don't have that opportunity to do so, doing it online can be a good choice. Learn a language. Learning a language online is what we are doing now. Yeah. So there won't be a big difference between the two types of learning the language because uh, this is the learner that should work hard. It doesn't matter if you go to a physical class or learn it through the internet. If you don't work hard yourself, you won't be able to learn it. Speak to friends. I prefer to meet them, or if not, yeah, sending messages via online networking sites would be good. All right, you can have your own discussions and opinions, and it is the same recommendations I have to you. Next part, writing a website review. Read the website review and answer the questions. What type of website is it? Why does the writer recommend it? Who uses the website? Why? Let's read it. Website of the month for January is megaportal.com. It's a website which you can use to find magazine articles on lots of different topics. One reason I'd recommend it is the range of subjects, which include health, finance, entertainment, science and technology, sports, and even pets and animals. The best thing about megaportal.com is that the design is very simple, which makes it really easy to use. There is a menu of categories and a search engine if you want something specific. Another excellent feature is that you can get articles by typing the dates. The most recent ones are shown first, or the name of a specific magazine. I know several journalists who use megaportal.com for research. I suggest that readers try it out. There is something for everyone. Okay, what type of website is it? It's a website which you can use to find magazine articles on lots of different topics. So the first question, what type of website is it? It's a website which, the answer is here. It's a website which you can use to find magazine articles on lots of different topics. Number 2, why does the writer recommend it? He recommends it for different reasons. One reason he'd recommend it is the range of subjects. Another one is here. The best thing about Megaport is that the design is very simple. And we can have another one. Another excellent feature is that you can get articles by typing the dates or the name of a specific magazine. For these reasons, the writer recommends it. Who uses the website? Journalists. Journalists who use for research. They use it for research, and that's it. Because it has something for everyone. So part 9b, number the features of a review in a logical order. So I think one is C, introduce the name of the website. As we had in this example about megaportal.com, first we have the name of the website. Second one is A, say the purpose of the website. Third one is D, say what special features the website has. And then finally, B, say who you'd recommend the website to. So C1, A2, D3, and B4. Part 9C, find and underline 3 phrases we use to recommend something. Okay. One reason I'd recommend the best thing about one here. One reason I'd recommend something. The best thing about megaportal.com. And another excellent feature is that you can use these phrases to recommend something. Okay, next part. Learn to use complex sentences. 10a. Compare the pairs of sentences which sounds more fluent, A or B. 1. It's a website. You can use it to find magazine articles. The articles are on lots of different topics. B. It's a website which you can use to find magazine articles on lots of different topics. So clearly B is more fluent because in this sentence more clauses are joined. Let's say it is more common in English writing. Number 2, I know several journalists. They use megaportal.com. They use it for research. You see, some words are repeated. B, I know several journalists who use megaportal.com for research. So clearly B is better than A. Tip, think about using complex sentences. Simple sentences can be effective, but when we use many simple sentences together, it sounds childish. I swim every day. I love the water. It's good exercise. We can make sentences more complex by using conjunctions like and, because, but, so, yet, for, and etc. And relative clauses. I swim every day because I love the feel of the water, and it's also good exercise. How have the B sentences in exercise 10a been made more complex? Using conjunctions and relative clauses, of course. For example, in 1B, it's a website which you can use to find magazine articles. So there is a relative clause on lots of different topics, and there is a preposition. And B, we have a relative clause and again one prepositional phrase. Part 10b. Rewrite sentences 1 to 4 to make them sound more fluent. 1. The website is well designed. The good design makes it user-friendly. The website is well designed, which makes it user-friendly. 2. The site has too much animation. This makes it very slow. It takes a long time to upload. So we can say the website, number 2. The site has too much animation, which makes it very slow, and it takes a long time to upload. Number 3, the website's content comes from its user. Users send in their photos. The website's content comes from its users who send in their photos. Number 4, the site feels friendly. It has user profile areas. Here, users can say who they are. The site feels friendly because it has user profile areas where users can say who they are. We can do that in order to make them more fluent. So you're going to write about a website that you visit, you have information about. Follow your article in the order of these questions. 1. What type of website is it? Photo sharing, social networking, whatever. 2. Who do you like? Why do you like it? 3. How often do you visit it? 4. Is there a community of users? 5. Who would you recommend it to? Write your review into 120 to 150 words. Show it to other students. Thank you so much. That's all for now. See you next time.